Alright, this video is brought to you by Phantom Mobiles. Today we've got a '07 Subaru Impreza. We're going to do the rear brakes on. We're going to do rear brakes and rotors. I'm going to do a how-to video on replacing our brake pads here. As you can see, those rotors are pretty scratched up. So, yeah, we got to replace those. So our brakes are way past their limit. And we got some new brake pads and rotors here. We're going on with the ceramic. I got these all off Rock Auto for about 50 bucks. So that's what's shipping and handling. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Rock Auto is a good place to buy aftermarket parts for a reasonable price. And the only thing about them is that you have to wait for them to get shipped to your house. Shipping is usually, it varies with the time, so you just kind of gotta bear that in mind when ordering parts, just the shipping costs. But other than that, yeah, we got a pretty good deal on the brakes at Rock Auto. Yeah, so I'm in no rush to get this thing back together, so we're just gonna go ahead and take it as it goes. So first things first, we need to set the car on jack stands. I've already jacked the car up. I'm just gonna slide these jack stands under here, stabilize the vehicle. And we have our Daytona jack from Harbor Freight. Check out that guy. Should do it. Where I jacked up the vehicle, I just jacked it up at the rear differential and was able to jack up the entire car and set them on the jack stands. I'm just going to leave it like that. And open our hood. Alright, so and we're going to open our brake cap. Be nice to check our fluid. This is for the clutch. Fluid looks good. Maximum. Trying to see where this is at, just to have an idea. Oh, there it is. It's at the minimum. I could use a little bit more, but I'm gonna leave it low for now because when I push the calipers in, it's gonna raise, so we don't really want it to overfill. But that's gonna release some of the pressure when I squeeze the calipers in. So, all right, gang, let's get ready to start this brake job. As you can see here, I've already did the driver's side. I'm going to show you guys how we do the rear brakes on this '07 Subaru Impreza. Got all my tools here needed to complete the job. So first thing first, got our car set on jack stands. The e-brake is released. Brake cap is open. We're going to take our 19mm socket and remove all 5 lug nuts. Shouts out to Milwaukee Fuel. Alright. And those brakes are pretty rusted on there. So we got here some penetrating oil. We're just gonna go ahead and coat this rotor up, all the little passages we can get into. Let that sit so it don't be so hard to break free once we go to taking off the rotor. So we have two two 14mm nuts on the back of our rotor. I've got my 14mm ratchet with a long handle on it for more leverage to make it easier to break. And I'm just going to push down on it, break them. Make sure we're going the right way, guys. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So we're going to pull to us. Almost made a crucial mistake there. We cut ourselves. Want to get square on that nut before we start wrenching. I'm just going to break the bolts here. My ratchet is kind of flimsy here, switching up on us. There we go. Just break the bolt. Come in with a smaller one. Make the job a little bit quicker. .14mm. This holds our caliper onto our caliper bracket. Just gonna wiggle this thing off. It's our caliper there. And you see our piston is erect, so we need to depress it. I've got this tool. If you don't have this tool, what you also can do is to press this piston in while the rotor is actually on here. Just take like a flathead screwdriver, or maybe even pry. Sometimes you can pry the piston in, so you don't really need the tool. I can just pry it in. Or you can use a flathead screwdriver, put it in between this slot here, and press against the rotor up on the piston, and you can push it in that way as well. But I bought this tool to make the job just that much simpler. Not really required, just makes the job go a little bit more efficiently. And the way you use this thing is, all we're doing here is pressing in that piston, as y'all can see here. We're just pressing it in. That's the goal. That's all you want to try and do. So when you put your new brake pads in with your new rotor, because they're going to be a lot thicker than this worn out one, it'll all slide on there with no problems. So now we need to take off this caliper bracket. And on this vehicle, it is also a 14mm socket. And you want to find it. There are two of them. One here, one there. So you gotta take off these two bolts in order to get this bracket here off. So that's what we're gonna be working on. Just gonna feel for it. I don't necessarily have to look at it. Just feel for it. I got an idea of where they at. So we're just gonna go there. Make sure I ratchet it, because it likes to switch up on it. It's off. Okay, so yeah, we're taking these bolts off. So make sure you're square on the bolt so you don't strip it. Bam. Loosen them up. Just like that. Come back in, finish it off. these bolts look like. They come with a washer attached to them. So these are for the caliper, to hold the caliper on themselves, and this is for the caliper bracket. Both 14 millimeters. One come with washers, the other is just a collared nut. So there it is. You see how worn these brake shoes are. They are, yeah, right at their limits. So you see this rotor is on there pretty good. So that's when we're gonna grab our trusty dusty hammer. That PV penetrating oil done sat on there for a while, and just get a good swing at it. Eventually it'll break loose. Oh, let's get a good swing. Okay, so this one's on there pretty good, guys. Okay, so if it's not coming off like that, then what you want to do is you want to find a screw that'll fit this hole here, and you want to torque in the screw to kind of pop this out some. That'll free up this this rotor for you, because right now I'm gonna have to really beat on this thing, and I'm trying not to have to do that. So let's go back in it with a little bit more penetrating oil. This is where it's supposed to break free at. It's going to jar free there. So let's get a nut that'll fit that. I have an assortment of screws that I just kind of keep. I'm working on these cars. You never know. Situations like these, you might need a random screw, and I think would be a good one for this job. Let's try this one. Okay, so that's gonna be a 13. This here is a self-tapping screw, or a threading screw, so it may not be the exact size, but it should bite in and still deliver the same results. Once we get something to bite. Ideally is to have two on, so you can kind of work them evenly off. But since I only have one, I'm gonna just have to do one at a time. Yeah. Alright, so that's it. There we go. So yeah, sometimes you gotta fight with this thing to get it to work. That wasn't doing anything. Okay, so that's how you get that off. Just keep hitting it. Best way I can describe to do that. And this is your e-brake here. This one, you know, they take a while for them to wear out. It still has some pad left on there. It's good. It still holds. So we're not gonna go through changing those. That's okay for right now. But let's go on with our new rotors. What we got here. See the difference on these. So yeah, major difference. But these aren't too bad. They're just rusty, really. They probably could have. I could have probably still reused these. But the best practice is to do both. But if you're tight for money or anything, you don't really necessarily always have to replace both. It's just always good to replace both, though. Never mind that. I mean, if you can replace the brakes and the rotors, by all means do that. Just make sure, you know, brakes is not nothing you really want to take lightly. So it's always best to replace both the brake pads and rotors when you're doing your brake jobs. I will always recommend that. And replacing brakes, guys. It's better pay now than to pay later. So that's my rule of thumb. Alright, so we're just trying to get these bolts back started for the actual caliper. Got them back started, now we're going back on with it. And also, guys, you know, before you put those rotors on, you want to make sure you hit this thing with this brake cleaner, because a lot of times when these rotors come new in a box, they'll have some oil residue on there, and you want to clean that off before you start driving on there with these new pads, because they'll actually ruin your pad and your car won't stop as effective as it should. So you want to make sure you get all the contaminants off before you go rolling off without cleaning these rotors before your first install. I'm just using some brake cleaner. That's all you need. Spray it off before you install front and back side, but I sprayed the back side off earlier. I just wanted to reiterate that. Alright, so that's how you put your pads on. Simple as just putting it in these little clips here. They got little slot marks. These tabs fit right into there, so on both sides you just want to make sure it's situated to where, you know, it's in the right direction. You don't want to put them in like this or like this, it's not gonna work. You need the pad be facing the surface area of the rotor. Click them in like that. Bam, they're in. And so now when we go to put our caliper back on, since we done already squoze it in, it'll just slide in with ease. Bam. And we just go back in with our caliper bolts. Tighten these up. Just tighten them up with my hand. Come back with my big ratchet. And I just want to put a snug on all of these bolts, to be honest with you. Just want to snug them all with this so we can make sure everything is tight, everything is right, everything is tight. I'll double check. Snug everything. Make sure they're good and tight. Good and tight, not too tight, you know, but tight enough to where you know they're not gonna back out. So I put a little leverage on it, just a little bit, and that should do it. Brake job successful. And all we gotta do here is clean this up a little bit, put our wheel back on. Ooh. Alrighty. Okay, now as for the last and final step, what you want to do is I would just go ahead, mash our brake pedal in a few times till it gets firm all the way down to the floor. Let up on it. Mash it all the way down to the floor. Let up on it. You should feel the brake pedal get firm. And then just go ahead and put your cap back on, check your fluid. Which right now it's saying it's at the full mark. Actually, we need to top this off. And you're gonna use some .3. Usually it'll specify here what you must put in there. You can see it says .3 only. And we're just gonna top it off. This is the fill mark here, so. There you go. This takes .3 as well, and I'm just gonna add a little bit to that. It's slightly low. Let's top it off. Alright. Okay, and that should complete your brake repair, guys. That's all that there is to it. Alright guys, so that completes our brake repair, our rear brake replacement for our 07 Subaru. Hope this was able to help someone out. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions down below, and I'll get with you the best of my ability.